Happy Monday night, Lexington. So Monday night live in Lexington, you guys. My name is Kathryn Kauffman, and I'm a psychic medium here in Lexington, Kentucky. And every Monday night we do a special show here on Facebook, and we cover all kinds of paranormal topics, all the way from ghosts and spirits to doppelgangers and black-eyed children. There's all kinds of things that we love to talk about. Tonight's episode is going to be part 4 of the Alien series, and tonight we'll be discussing the reptile agenda. So let me do a couple of shout outs here. Hey John, hey Brittany, hey Jennifer, nice to see you guys tonight. Actually, when you sign on and you say hi, let everybody know what part of the world that you're coming from tonight. Let's see how many international viewers that we have this evening. Hey Jennifer, hey David, hey Rita. So hey Jennifer, hey Samantha, hey Paige. Kisses Paige. So who of you guys know about the reptilians or what the reptilian agenda is? If you have any ideas or you just have some conjecture on what it might be, put it in the comments section. Let's discuss this thoroughly, because this topic is getting bigger and bigger as the years go by. So the first thing that I want to draw your attention to, and I had kind of said this last week, I don't know how many of you actually did this, but I wanted to direct you to a video by Jordan Maxwell. Now, Jordan Maxwell is a radio host, or was a radio host. Hey, Julie. And he used to have several different radio shows. And he was actually the person who brought David, I think his name is Ike, I-C-K-E, David I-C-K-E. This is a British conspiracy theorist. And he was brought to the United States by Jordan Maxwell. Now, Jordan actually did an interview with a man named Robert Bigelow, and they give the account on a YouTube video. So when you go to YouTube, you need to just search Jordan Maxwell and Robert Bigelow, and you can listen to the account of it. And what the account actually was an interview with Robert Bigelow about a sighting, I believe it was in California, of several different families that were on vacation, and they all viewed the same thing, and it was a sighting of a reptilian in a clearing in a natural setting, but there were a lot of humanoid people around this reptilian creature. And the people that give the account to Robert Bigelow actually said they had a close-up view and interchange with this reptilian. And what I find fascinating about this is it was more than one family. I think in Robert Bigelow's account, he gives 5 different families that went on this vacation together, and they viewed this occurrence. So that's a very interesting video to listen to, and if you ever get a chance to watch that video and listen to the account, please do, because it is very fascinating. So the first thing that we're going to get into are what are reptilians? What are your thoughts about what a reptilian is? Now, in tonight's episode, and I've got look at this, so much information here. We probably won't get to cover it all tonight, but I will continue. Whatever we don't get to cover tonight, we'll do next Monday night too. So what are reptilians exactly? We went kind of over this in the first episode of the different types of beings that we've encountered or have documentation of. So, but this is a little bit more in depth. So some of the other names for reptilians are reptoids, reptilioids, saurians, or draconians. Now, in my research, the most commonly used term was draconians. So that's kind of becoming a catch-all for this reptilian. So the reptilian humanoids that play, if you notice on a lot of science fiction movies, the bad guys are, sometimes you're going to see a lot of portrayal of a reptilian type of creature. So this is heavy in fantasy, science fiction, UFOlogy, and conspiracy theory. The idea of the draconians or the reptilians were kind of put to the forefront by this David Icke, who was brought to the United States by Jordan Maxwell, who was the radio host. Anyway, they're highly known for their shape-shifting capability, and supposedly have come to Earth and are taking on human form to gain political power and to manipulate human societies. Now, some of the research that I saw claim that a lot of the leaders of society now in different countries are actually reptilian. So David has a comment, where at in New Jersey? Clarify that little bit more, David, as to what exactly your question is. Are you asking a question about Jordan Maxwell? He's a radio host, or was a radio host. Robert Bigelow's account is on YouTube if you want to look at it. Oh, that's fine. So anyway, let me give you the earliest account. The earliest account that I could find of like an alien abduction and an account of a reptilian was in 1945. Okay, so alien abduction narrates sometimes alleged contact with reptilian creatures. One of the earliest reports was that of Ashland, Nebraska police officer Herbert Schirmer, born in 1945, who claims to have been taken aboard a UFO in 1967 by humanoid beings with a slightly reptilian appearance, who wore a winged serpent emblem on the side of their chests. So, I'm sorry, I have to correct that. So the earliest account was 1967. This guy was born in 1945. But I found it interesting that he was actually a police officer giving this account. So that made it very, very, very interesting. So let's go on to, here's something else I found interesting. They did a poll of Americans in 2013, and it indicated that 4% of the registered voters in 2013 believed in the reptilian agenda as being a part of or taking over our government systems. So that was really, really interesting. Okay, so theories as to the origin of reptilian or alien life. There are several origins that they say that the reptilians came from. The first is extraterrestrial, the second is interterrestrial, and the third is interdimensional. So let's first go over the extraterrestrial account. So reptilians as extraterrestrials means that they are coming from off the planet. So what we're looking at is like intragalactic raiders or invaders. These are intruders from a region of space known as the Alpha Draconis. Their apparent objectives are to seek out new life throughout the universe, conquer it by any means possible, and to use the spoils of their invasions as use up all the natural resources off of the planets that they invade, and the natural resources fuel their ongoing goals and their ongoing excursions to other planets. So supposedly, this is one of the theories, supposedly they traverse the universe towards their intended destination on a mothership, which is directed at a planetoid asteroid base station. So some people theorize that the reptilian mothership actually kind of travels behind comets in the same direction, so that they're, number one, they're kind of cloaked or obscured, so that there's less interest in what they're doing, and the gravitational field of the asteroids and the comets kind of pull them along through space. The comet's body also acts as a stellar debris impact shield that prevents any approaching civilization from observing the mothership's advance towards the planet. Which, this is a good theory. I mean, that's a plausible theory. Now, during their long voyages, they go into stasis with like a skeleton crew that runs the ship, and it sends out the scout reconnaissance to find out if there's anything that they need to know about to, get with their plot. Hey, Chantel! And so, and then they refer back to the reptilian military. So this is supposedly all done through the military, the reptilian military. It's the secrecy of their presence and their effective way that they carry out abductions. So what they're looking for is to investigate, number one, to investigate our technologies. Number two, to explore and investigate the biological life forms that are on the planet. And that's not only human, but also animals. So this can relate to animal mutilations and investigation of how the animal works and what kind of energy that they can draw from the animal. Hey, Cynthia. So anyway, so they're studying the biological life forms. Also, the next thing that is part of the agenda is to manipulate and initiate genetic crossbreeding programs. And this gets really in depth, and we may have to go into this next week, because there are two different things that are brought to the forefront with this genetic crossbreeding. And it really gets in depth and detailed, so we may have to do this next week, but I'll try to get to as much as I can tonight. And please feel free, if you have any questions at all, type them in the comments section. As always, if I don't get to them on the live stream, I will answer them in the comments section later. Hey, Dale. Hey, Minnesota. Hey, out to Dale in Minnesota. Nice to see you. So, as far as the extraterrestrials, supposedly they also have underground bases. And that kind of sets the stage for the mothership to establish a network of human-reptilian crossbreed infiltrates. God, can you imagine if this is true, what a network of stuff that this sets up? So the people that are involved with this, and it says it's infiltrated various levels of the surface culture, military, industrial complexes, governmental bodies, UFO, paranormal groups, religious groups, fraternal priest orders. Yes, absolutely. And these cross-bred species, some are actually unaware of their reptilian genetic makeup because of mind control techniques. And these mind control techniques are instructions that cause a person to act out their subversive roles as reptilian agents, setting the stage for this reptilian agenda, and aka reptilian invasion in the end. So what they're saying is that with this genetic crossbreeding that we have people who are being mind controlled to act as subversive agents for the reptilians, and that this is a way that they're using to precipitate this invasion that's coming later. So hey Lana, hey Heba, nice to see you guys. If anybody is from out of Kentucky or around the world, please leave a shout out in the comment. I want to know where you're from. So number 3, yes, let's get on to number 3. Let's check our time. We've got still a few more minutes left. So this is talking about after the invasion. So after the surface inhabitants discovered the futility of fighting off their invaders with their technology and inferior weaponry, and remember that's one of the reconnaissance calculations, is what is their capability, and how can we squash it. So in this reconnaissance that the alien reptilians are doing, they are evaluating our ability to resist or fight off an invasion. So after that is done, after the invasion is done and surrender is negotiated, once the invasion is complete, the surface inhabitants yield to the demands of their new rulers. The reptilian mothership strips the planet of its resources, and I've heard that the resources are mainly like gold and silver. So those seem to be in the research, the main things or the main resources that they're after. Also being water, ores, okay, we went over that, and genetic DNA information. Then having turned the planet into like their base of operation, the reptilian ETs set out for the next goal or the next planet that they want to conquer. So that's very interesting. Now these are the extraterrestrials. Now what we're going to go over are the inner terrestrials. Now the inner terrestrials, the perception is that they've always been here. Okay? The inner terrestrials, they're saying that the reptilians are like an offshoot of the dinosaurs, that the dinosaurs didn't actually die out, that there were species that survived past that age, that continued on and actually evolved underground. So Heba has a question. Is there any idea as to when the Earth may be invaded? Good question, Heba. I'll look that up for next week because we're clearly not going to get through all this information. So hey, Paige. Paige is from Oregon. Shout out to Paige in Oregon. Kisses. Hey, Jill Jones. I did not get a specific time frame, Heba, on when they predict the Earth may be invaded, but clearly it is getting closer and closer because of all of the shows that are being produced that go over the reptilian agenda and all of the, exposure that this is actually getting. So, and another thing was that I found interesting. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. The extraterrestrials, they say, are also using the underground bases. But the underground bases are also being used by the inner terrestrials. So the inner terrestrials, they're calling these the true Terrans. And having evolved from the dinosaurs that escaped the climatological disaster on the surface of the planet brought about some 65 million years ago by an asteroid Earth impact. That's the theory. And they survived by going underground or underworld in caves and caverns. And after millions of years in which to adapt to their new underground environment and evolve into a highly intelligent species, that now they're getting enough technological savvy to sort of manipulate the surface and to manipulate humans. Hey, Melissa Begley. So the interterrestrials is the second reptilian agenda theory. So, but what I found interesting was that modern paleontology has, however, turned their tables on, paleontology at first was saying that the dinosaurs had died out completely, and with this asteroid impact of 65 million years ago. But now they're saying that after discovering living fossils, such as birds, paleontologists are currently reconsidering their long-proclaimed extinction theory. So we're backpedaling on that, and that's opening up a whole new can of worms here, folks. So let's see, our time is about out. If you guys have any questions at all, please let me know before we cut off for the evening. But next week, we're going to go over the last group, which is the interdimensional reptilians and what their agenda is all about. And I have a lot of information on the interdimensional reptilian being, because that's kind of in my category. That's kind of what I have dealt with before. So that's going to be a whole nother episode. And that's going to be really interesting. So that'll be next Monday night. So we'll do interdimensional reptilians, and then we're also going to go over what reptilian parasites are. And you know what all of this reminds me of? Love to Miss Cleo, Melissa, back to you. What this reminds me of, and the more I study this, the more I read about it, is the Borg and how they assimilated the humans. And so this is kind of the same thing that I'm reading and studying about, and the research for this is their basic #1 agenda is to integrate the humans into their species and then manipulate the species and then dominate and take our resources and keep on going. And that's sort of what the Borg did in Star Trek. So never know. Okay, so if you enjoy these Monday night live episodes, hit that share button right now and share this to your friends. If you also want notifications on when I'm doing a live stream, because sometimes I do them just right off the hat on something really interesting during the week, you need to follow me on Facebook. Hit that notifications, see first, follow, and thanks for all the hearts and the kisses. Kiss back. If you're interested in buying a personalized reading, I'm going to leave my website in the comments section. Everything is on there, all the readings I do. There's an online scheduler for your convenience. And if you're local, I will be at the Lexington Art League this Friday for a special event. It's posted on my timeline. If you're local, you want to come out to the Lexington Art League and have a good time and get a reading, check that out on my timeline. As always, kisses from Kentucky, and I will see you next Monday, because we're going to go over a whole bunch of stuff next Monday. See you later.